At the foot of the Albera's hills, the village of Albera still seemed to slumber peacefully in the early morning light. But when we looked at the fertile fields ravaged and destroyed, we knew something terrible had happened. According to Joss, the village chief, the culprits this time were once again massive wild boars, each weighing hundreds of kilos and dangerously aggressive. There was no time to hesitate. Our hunting team immediately gathered our gear and set out, determined to track down these beasts and restore peace to this quiet land. But would we succeed? Follow us and see for yourself. We began our journey from the top of the hill, where the wind howled through every crevice of stone. Suddenly, a faint rustle from the far slope jolted me into full alert. The moment my eyes caught sight of a hefty boar feeding near its hiding place, I wasted no time. I squeezed the trigger. A single gunshot echoed. The beast collapsed instantly, never even able to resist. The target was swiftly neutralized by our hunting team, men forged through countless trials and dangers even harsher than this. It was a promising start, but we all knew tougher challenges still awaited ahead. We followed the ridgeline, moving down into the valley to climb the higher hill beyond. Just as we reached the basin between the two slopes, Mark suddenly raised his hand. Stop. Ahead of us, a group of wild boars was foraging beneath the low branches. I crouched down instantly, raising my rifle in the direction Mark pointed. A slight nod from him. I understood. I pulled the trigger. The bullet tore through the lead boar. It collapsed on the spot, sending shockwaves through the herd. The rest scattered in panic into the woods. Our team pressed forward, and a few more targets fell soon after. We reached another hillside where the sparse trees gave us a wide field of view. Out of nowhere, a boar darted at full speed across the field below. Without hesitation, I steadied my breath, raised the rifle, and fired. The bullet struck home. The beast staggered a few steps before collapsing. We had barely rested for a few minutes when an alert came in. A boar was wandering up from the foot of the hill, following a narrow trail upward. We couldn't let it get any farther. The hounds flushed it out in no time. Seizing the perfect moment, I raised my rifle and fired decisively. A sharp crack echoed. The boar froze, staggered a few steps, then collapsed on the slope. The rifle barrel hadn't even cooled when suddenly the hounds erupted in furious barking on the opposite slope. I spun around. No mistake, they had found the biggest target, the alpha. Without delay, the team fell into formation as planned. I held the intercept position while John closed in from the flank. The hillside seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the decisive moment. As soon as the beast broke from the brush, David fired. A thunderous shot, unstoppable in its force. The giant boar toppled, instantly lifeless on the grass. By late afternoon, just as we thought the hunt was over, a sudden movement on the hillside caught my eye. Through the scope, I spotted a dark figure creeping through dry grass, sneaking along the trail villagers often take to their fields. We couldn't allow it to go any farther. I pulled the trigger. Boom. One shot, swift and decisive. The beast crumpled into the weeds, ending the chase that had lasted all day. If you're not a real hunter, never dare stand in the path of these creatures. Before you even catch your breath, you could become prey yourself. Our Range Rover, loaded with today's trophies, rolled off the windy slope and down the familiar trail. Inside, each of us carried a quiet satisfaction. We may sacrifice sleep, strength, even our safety, just so the villagers can sow their crops in peace.
Under the scorching sun of New South Wales, Tom arrives at Aunt Selina's small house for a rest, only to find himself swept up in an unexpected wild boar hunt. Here, wild boars are not just a danger to humans and livestock but also the #1 enemy of the fertile fields. So, alongside Aunt Selina's neighbors, he joins a thrilling hunting expedition to protect the crops for the local farmers. At the crack of dawn, Tom hops into the truck with local farmers, heading straight for the fields. Early morning is when the wild boars wreak the most havoc. Right away, they drive after the boars, which scatter in a frenzy. With the help of a pack of skilled hunting dogs, no boar can escape. From the sorghum field, a dog caught a wild boar, causing it to let out piercing squeals. This field had been the most heavily ravaged by wild boars, with large swathes of sorghum flattened, resulting in immense losses. Not stopping there, the vehicle continued toward a field being tilled. The farmers here said their planting season was about to begin, so the wild boar population needed to be quickly reduced, otherwise, farming would be extremely challenging. While searching, Tom spotted a black black wild boar darting past him. Immediately, he and his dogs gave chase. At a suitable distance, he finally took the shot. A perfect hit, the boar was brought down instantly. While searching, Tom spotted a black wild boar darting past him. Immediately, he and his dogs gave chase. At a suitable distance, he finally took the shot. A perfect hit, the boar was brought down instantly. The hunt for wild boars continues, as many are still hiding in these fields. Noticing the dogs chasing a boar, Tom quickly accelerates to follow. Fantastic! The dogs have caught another wild boar. The boars here aren't too large, weighing around 15 to 20 kg with mottled fur, yet they're remarkably agile. The group is thrilled, and amid the sounds of the boars, they eagerly cheer on the dogs. Right after, the team pursues more boars. The noises from the boar herd, mixed with the dogs barking, heighten the excitement in the air. Under the blazing sun, the farmers' determination doesn't waver. They strive to capture as many boars as possible. Afterward, they continue tracking other boar herds. However, it takes quite a while to spot them again. From a distance, the boars hear the commotion and start to flee. The dogs relentlessly scour the bushes and grassy patches. Eventually, they discover the dogs have caught a small, mottled boar. From the fields to the bushes and tall grass, the pack of dogs operated at full capacity, relentlessly catching wild boars without tiring. Truly, in this area, the dogs were the ultimate weapons in helping eliminate the wild boars. After taking down a good number of wild boars, the group decided to head home to rest and prepare for future hunts. They knew the wild boars would continue to breed and cause more damage. This posed a significant challenge for farmers and the government in finding sustainable solutions to control the wild boar population. On the island of Corsica, where rugged terrain allows wild boars to multiply uncontrollably, wreaking havoc on the fields and orchards of local farmers, Max, a seasoned sharpshooter, has taken up the challenge. Armed with his trusty rifle, he ventures into the Corsican hills with a mission to eliminate these destructive pests. Will he succeed? The first stop was a gentle hillside. While weaving through dense thickets, Max suddenly detected movement in a clump of trees ahead. He halted instantly. Breath held, finger poised on the trigger. A rustle broke the silence, and with a single shot, the wild boar that emerged collapsed on the spot. Soon after, more targets began to appear. With the damage they had caused, Max was determined to eradicate these wild boars completely. From a high hillside, a massive wild boar charged down at breakneck speed. Max reacted instantly. He shifted position, raised his rifle, and seized the moment with split-second precision. The shot rang out, the target collapsed just meters away. It seemed Max had stumbled right into the boar's lair, where they were numerous and aggressive, making the hunt more challenging than ever. Capitalizing on the chaos, Max pressed his advantage, taking down several more targets. Continuing to track a startled herd of wild boars, Max knew he had only minutes before they vanished deep into the forest. He moved silently, closing in on his targets, and then launched his counterattack. Following the sharp crack of gunfire, the fleeing targets were brought down with supremely accurate shots. As dusk fell, Max continued his journey to the southern grasslands of the island, a known hotspot for large wild boar herds. The open terrain offered clearer views, but demanded lightning-fast reflexes. Barely arriving at the clearing, a wild boar tore past, frantic and chaotic. But the moment it entered his sights, Max pulled the trigger. As always, the target dropped instantly. Hours later, while scouting the nearby area, Max was suddenly charged by a fully grown male wild boar. The distance was too close for hesitation. On instinct, he raised his rifle and fired. Though unprepared, the shot was precise to the centimeter. Max quickly followed the remaining tracks. one, then two, then three more boars were spotted. He gave them no chance to turn back. Deadly shots rang out with cold precision, silencing their escape. And then, while moving along the edge of a sparse forest, Max spotted a wild boar lurking behind a tree. It was a perfect opportunity he couldn't pass up. A precise shot, and the beast collapsed just steps away from him. However, the gunfire startled the remaining targets, sending them bolting from their hiding spots. That was their fatal mistake. In less than a minute, Max systematically took down each fleeing pest, ending their destructive rampage. Amid vast fields and distant mountains, a silent battle unfolds every day. Wild boars. They appear suddenly, devastating crops, killing livestock, and threatening the livelihoods of countless people. To protect their hard-earned harvests, hunters like Max and Adam have resolved to take action. So, what challenges will they face next? At the meadow, Max had an unexpectedly successful hunting trip. While heading toward the field, he suddenly heard a strange noise from the bushes along the path. Max immediately slowed down, observing carefully. A dark shadow burst out. Without hesitation, he fired. The shot hit the first target of the day, signaling a promising start. The battle continued, with Max quietly scanning his surroundings. Any small sound could be a sign of wild boars lurking nearby. As Max passed through a recently harvested field, he noticed freshly churned soil and new tracks. Without hesitation, he followed the trail, and then the grass rustled. and a massive wild boar charged out. Max fired instantly. This time, the target was taken down cleanly, preventing any further damage to the field. Quickly regaining his composure, Max shifted his position, ready for the next encounters, determined to eliminate the threat to the villagers. Continuing his pursuit, Max spotted several wild boars fleeing toward the meadow. He immediately picked up speed, chasing them down and cutting them off from the opposite side. An opportunity arose when one broke from the group. Boom! Another perfect takedown. The sound of gunfire echoed relentlessly. As the chase momentarily subsided, Max stood still for a few seconds amidst the field littered with boar carcasses. The hunt concluded with dozens of wild boars eliminated, an impressive tally. Meanwhile, Adam was on a journey exploring the rugged mountains of Turkey, a known hotspot for large herds of wild boars. His instincts were spot on. On the hillside, groups of boars appeared scattered across the terrain. From his elevated vantage point, Adam could easily survey the entire landscape. There it was. After a crisp gunshot, the first target fell. Not long after, more precise shots rang out through the quiet valley, eliminating a significant number of wild boars in the area. Before he could catch his breath, a sudden noise caught Adam's attention. A massive wild boar was stumbling, clearly disoriented, before coming to a halt. Seizing the moment, Adam took aim. Headshot, a clean and skillful shot. In the distance, bushes rustled faintly. Adam slowly shifted his position, aiming his rifle forward, patiently waiting for his prey and striking at the perfect moment. Caught off guard, the boars had no time to react and fell completely under Adam's gunfire. Undeterred, Adam ventured deeper into the neighboring hills. Herds of wild boars continued foraging, seemingly oblivious to the approaching danger. From the perfect ambush position, he took down target after target. A few boars made a desperate dash for escape, but Adam swiftly pursued and ended the battle decisively. By the end of the hunt, Adam had taken down an impressive number of wild boars, significantly easing the threat to the agricultural areas in the mountains. It's clear that both hunters embodied the true spirit of the hunt. With skill, patience, and one decisive second, they saved the livelihoods of the people in these regions. Matthew received an invitation to join a hunting trip this weekend in a rural area of Spain. This is a traditional wild boar hunting competition, held annually to protect fields from the ever-lurking, destructive herds. Determined to eliminate these pests, Matthew and his group of hunters are ready to set out. Let's hit the road. Accompanied by fierce hunting dogs, the group ventures straight into the rugged mountains. The terrain here is harsh, with jagged rocks interspersed with low shrubs, but visibility remains clear enough for them to scan their surroundings. Just minutes after arriving at the location, Robert Sanchez, a sharp-eyed teammate, spots a wild boar lurking in the bushes. Without hesitation, he fires and takes down the first boar with a shot so precise it's astonishing, despite the whistling wind. The pack of hunting dogs immediately scatters, scouring every nook and cranny for the herd. Their relentless barking echoes through the forest, signaling to their masters that more targets are near. Another boar comes into Robert's sights, but this time, his first shot misses. He quickly adjusts, and with the second shot, the boar is subdued. The group presses on to the mountain's highest point, where the dogs continue their fervent search. From a drone hovering above, Matthew spots a massive boar hiding among dense bushes. As the dogs flush it out of cover, the group fires in unison, bringing down the prey with little difficulty. Wild boars here are so abundant that they boldly invade farms and fields in search of food, becoming a nightmare for local farmers. When a gigantic boar bolts in panic across the mountainside, Matthew takes aim. His first shot misses, but with the second, he drops the boar instantly, a perfectly placed, satisfying shot. Tracking the wild boars charging across the mountainside, the group doesn't hesitate, firing several shots with determination to claim more trophies. The booming gunfire blends with the dogs barking, making the hunt increasingly dramatic and intense. A shaggy-coated boar briefly appears before them, weaving through dense bushes, seemingly aware of the imminent danger. The pack of dogs instantly detects it and gives chase, hot on its heels. As the boar emerges on the opposite slope, Matthew decides not to miss the opportunity despite the considerable distance. A shot rings out, but unfortunately, it misses the mark. The boar continues to bolt down the trail, growing fiercer by the moment. By instinct, it might flee, but when threatened, it turns to charge the dogs. When it reaches an open spot, Matthew seizes the moment, swiftly aiming and dropping the prey instantly. The wild boar hunting competition continues with unrelenting tension. Across the mountains, other hunters are also scouring the terrain, and many boars have already been taken down. It's the only way for locals to protect their fields from the boar's destruction. In an unexpected moment, a bold boar charges into a lake and swims to the opposite shore, momentarily throwing the dogs off, but soon, they leap into the water and resume the pursuit, refusing to let the prey slip away. The hunt now transforms into a high-stakes race, with everyone eager to claim victory by bagging the most prey. The excitement and tension have never been greater. From a distance, Matthew spots a massive wild boar charging through a small stream. Despite its robust frame, it moves with agility and caution, weaving through dense bushes. With only a fleeting moment to act, Matthew doesn't hesitate and fires. The bullet strikes the boar's flank, leaving it no chance to escape. Wild boars here often move alone, Unlike the herds Matthew has hunted elsewhere. Perhaps the relentless pursuit by the hunting dogs has spooked them, forcing them to split from the group. This makes the challenge even tougher, heightening the thrill and excitement of the hunting competition. Another ill-fated boar falls into the trap set by the pack of dogs. These four-legged warriors are true heroes of the fields, fearlessly charging at the massive prey. The boar struggles desperately to break free from the encirclement, but its efforts are futile. In a flash, the hunters swiftly finish off the prey, marking yet another victory in this gripping journey. The hunt continues with the unwavering enthusiasm of the hunting dogs. The group quickly selects advantageous positions for an ambush, ready to wait for the panicked herd of boars to pass by. When the moment arrives, Matthew only needs to raise his rifle, aim directly at the target, and fire with precision. Incredible! A massive wild boar is brought down after a few shots. As the afternoon fades, with sunlight still stretching across the mountain peaks, the hunt draws to a close. The hunters assist each other in collecting their trophies, the wild boars they've taken down. The atmosphere buzzes with excitement. Everyone is satisfied, not only with the number of boars hunted but also because they've helped protect local agriculture from these destructive pests. Traversing treacherous mountain slopes, weaving through dense thickets of grass, these resolute marksmen are unstoppable in their determination. The battle begins to protect crops, land, and livestock from the claws of wild beasts. The thrilling moments below will keep you glued to the screen. Which scene left you stunned? Stick around until the end to pick the hunt that impressed you the most. A perfect ambush kicked off today's battle. Kevin's team arrived early, swiftly moving into their pre-assigned positions. Soon after, on the mountainside, rustling sounds from the bushes ahead put Kevin on high alert. The moment he faced the beast, a decisive gunshot rang out, cutting off the lead boar's escape route. The rest of the herd turned and fled into the thickets, vanishing in an instant. The battle had officially begun. At the base of the mountain, a seamless coordination between Kevin and his team unfolded. From a distance, a familiar silhouette emerged, frantically charging through the dense bushes, but it made a fatal mistake by veering straight toward Kevin. Instantly, a barrage of gunfire erupted, halting every attempt to escape. The beast collapsed on the ground, unable to take another step. Another threat was eradicated from this land. At another position, through binoculars, a marksman spotted a wild boar darting toward cover on the opposite mountainside. The moment its body came into view, gunshots rang out in succession, instantly halting its escape. A precise shot neutralized yet another threat before it could vanish. Leaving the fierce battle on the mountainside, we turn to a tense pursuit unfolding in Spain. While scanning every movement around, a wild boar suddenly appeared but couldn't escape the hunter's crosshairs. In an instant, a barrage of bullets was unleashed, completely thwarting the beast's attempt to flee. A decisive strike, timely saving the fields below. Amid the reeds, the barking of hunting dogs signaled the presence of a wild boar. Jamie swiftly closed it, only for a massive boar to suddenly charge into view. He stayed calm, took careful aim, and pulled the trigger. A decisive shot halted the beast's attempt to attack just in time. A heart-pounding moment. You can't help but admire the composure of these professional hunters. At this moment, in another location, the beasts lurking in the tall grass fell into the sights of the marksmen. Without hesitation, they swiftly took position, and a barrage of gunfire erupted. One by one, the boars were taken down, leaving no chance for escape. A decisive strike completely neutralized the threat they posed to the land.
Çok güzel.
Wild boars, creatures once thought to lurk only in deep forests, have become a true nightmare for rural communities. They rampage through fields, destroying crops, attacking livestock, and even targeting humans. Faced with this growing threat, farmers and hunters are forced to take action to protect their livelihoods. How have they confronted these ferocious beasts? Join us on a thrilling and suspenseful journey to hunt wild boars in today's video. Join us at the snowy hills of Montana, USA, in the depths of winter, where wild boars relentlessly churn the frozen ground, wreaking havoc on ecosystems and crops. We've come fully equipped with firearms, cold weather gear, thermal binoculars, and all necessary tools. The hunt in the frigid wilderness officially begins. Tracking footprints etched in the thick snow for an hour, we suddenly heard a strange noise ahead. All of a sudden, a dark shadow shot out from the bushes like an arrow slicing through the air. Immediately, I raised my rifle, locked onto the target, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out clean and decisive. The beast collapsed, tumbling a few times on the snowy ground before lying still. It seems my gunshot startled the other prey nearby. From a distance, another wild boar emerged. Swiftly pulling the trigger, the bullet struck its head, leaving the beast no chance to escape. The winter battlefield ended with victory for the steely hunters. Now, join me for another hunting adventure in the scorching summer of the American South, where the blistering heat drives wild boars to gather around fields and water sources. Firearms, binoculars, and tracking gear are ready. A new battleground, a new hunt begins now. Trekking along the hillside at dawn, we swiftly set out to hunt the ferocious beasts in the area. Suddenly, a rustling sound nearby signaled something approaching. A dark shadow burst from the thicket. I immediately drew my rifle, aiming straight at the target. The gunshot rang out decisively. The beast collapsed instantly, completely subdued by the hunter's barrel. The hunting dogs were unleashed, swiftly picking up the scent and driving the prey toward us. Moments later, from the edge of the hill, a massive beast suddenly charged forward. Unfazed, I raised my rifle, locking onto the target. The gunshot echoed through the still air, and in an instant the beast collapsed onto the parched ground, unable to resist. A few minutes later, another wild boar was struggling to climb up the rocky cliff. I raised my rifle, squinted to align the shot, and pulled the trigger without hesitation. The bullet whistled through the air, striking the target dead on. The beast lurched violently, then staggered, sliding down the hillside. Not far away, a teammate of mine was swiftly shouldering his rifle, eyes locked on a target sprinting wildly across the hills. The prey tried to accelerate, but mere seconds later, a sharp crack echoed. All movement ceased. IT collapsed without time to react. Today's journey concludes with breathless pursuits through untamed wilderness where neither the harsh winter nor the blazing summer could halt the hunter's steps. All actions were carried out in strict accordance with legal regulations in designated hunting areas in the USA. After the harvest, cornfields are littered with kernels dropped by the combine harvester. For wild boars, it's a feast. They come to gorge themselves on these leftovers, a precious source of fat for the winter. And that's also the golden opportunity for hunters to strike. But will the hunt go as planned? Let's find out together. The plan had been carefully discussed, positions assigned with precision. Dressed in hunting gear, boots laced tight, rifles double-checked, we together with our most elite hunting dogs were ready. At dawn, the chilly air was so still we could hear the wind whispering through dry stalks. As planned, we used the harvester's engine noise to flush the boars out from their hiding place. And then they came. An entire herd burst out like a raging flood. Holding our breath, we focused on the racing shadows, pulling the trigger in rapid succession. The alpha boar was hit and went down. The hunting dogs, like arrows loosed from a bow, immediately rushed in and locked down the target. We hurried to the nearby grassland, where the massive boar was cornered by the dogs. The tension was razor sharp. I carefully aimed, making sure not to endanger our four-legged allies. Boom! The beast collapsed, ending its struggle. The dogs were released again as we strained to catch the faintest sound. The tension was chilling. Even the rustle of a single dry leaf made us flinch. And there they were. Two intruders, flushed out by the dogs, ran straight into my sights. Two quick, precise shots rang out. One boar went down, but still had enough strength to dash into the corn for cover. The team chased it relentlessly, pushing the beast into the open with the dogs. As the fat boar burst out of the cornfield, I intercepted it. Boom! Another hit, but it still sprinted desperately for survival. I knew it couldn't run far. Following quietly, I found it collapsed in a thick patch of grass. Another threat eliminated, peace restored, at least for now. By noon, the sun blazed down, sweat soaking through our hunting gear. After a short rest, we decided to expand into the nearby dry grasslands. This time, we used a pincer tactic, one group driving, the other, including me, ambushing key trails. It didn't take long. From a distance, the herd came stampeding toward the path I was guarding. I fired quickly. One large boar dropped instantly while the rest scattered. With no way out, they barreled straight into the ambush where James and Finn were waiting. I alerted them via radio. Just as planned, the ones heading toward James and Finn were swiftly neutralized. But the real challenge came from the last two in the herd. As they bolted onto the trail, we aimed and unleashed a deafening volley. But the cunning beasts managed to slip into the grasslands and escape. Still, with our teammates tightening the encirclement, their fate was sealed. Suddenly, furious barking erupted from a nearby thicket. My heart pounded again. Gripping my rifle, I kept my eyes locked on the spot, knowing the enemy could charge at any moment. And it did. A massive boar exploded from the brush, charging straight at me in rage. In that split second, hesitation had no place. I pulled the trigger. The beast collapsed at my feet. Its final charge ended forever, closing a dramatic day of hunting. Cold sweat ran down my back as I exhaled 1 second slower, and I don't dare imagine the outcome. The return was exhausting, Yet every heart was filled with pride and relief. It was a successful hunt, not just in trophies, but in safeguarding the farmland's peace.